Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Hello?
This is Frank Costanza.
What do you want?
You think you can keep us out of Florida? We're moving in lock, stock, and barrel. We're going to be in the pool. We're going to be in the clubhouse. We're going to be all over that shuffleboard court. And I dare you to keep me out!
That would really work if we had Elliotte Friedman.
He's joining
right
us in
now.
1 minute. He
He's
just
going
told
to
me.
join us in 1 minute.
Yeah.
Elliotte Friedman down at the NHL GM meetings in Del Boca Vista,
He's at a council meeting.
Florida.
It's gone long.
Yeah. He's as we speak, he's voting on Kramer.
As the president.
He's probably run into a GM and he's trying to get the scoop.
Or Kramer.
Yeah, one of the two.
Stay with the theme here.
All right.
If you don't mind. Well, they're talking about, we talked about this earlier,
Wow.
GMs, among other things, talking about scheduling and the World Cup. Would it be better if it ended up in the Olympics? You can't change, but the World Cup, would it be better in September? And we go back to maybe you don't, the 72 Summit Series.
Yeah.
You know, arguably the greatest series in hockey history. Again, arguably.
Yep.
That was a September series, and the Canada Cups used to be September, and I think the World Cups as well. Of course, those have been in and out, not on a regular basis, but those were all before the season started.
And this Four Nations took a toll on the schedule, Donnie. And look at the injuries. You think Shea Theodore, Matthew Tkachuk, Charlie McAvoy? I mean, and these guys they didn't take the foot off the pedal. Four Nations was not just a little, let's go out there and play. It was intense.
It was so organic, too.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody expected
the fighting was
nobody expected that much heat.
Exactly.
Especially when it came to Canada versus the USA. Elliotte Friedman joining us now from Florida. The GM meetings, Hockey Night in Canada, 32 Thoughts podcast. Good to see you got dressed up for us, Elliotte. Appreciate it.
Looking good.
You know what? I got to tell you, I like to show up my hair in different directions. All the Vancouver fans complaining about how ridiculous I look. Today I had to clean up. I'm sorry to let everybody down.
You'll never never
let us down.
Never get a complaint from me about hair. Hey, NHL GM meetings this week. You're there in Florida. What can you tell us about scheduling among the subjects that will be brought up?
Well, so Don, just let me know. We'll fill you in on this morning. This morning, the GMs broke out in their individual groups. And then what they did was after it was over, they brought all of us in. And this is something they do from time to time. The GMs leave the room because they don't want to be in the same room as us. And we come in and they show us some of the plays that they show the managers. And they say, for example, do you think this is goalie interference? Do you think this is a good goal or not a good goal? And they kind of take us through their process. So they showed us a bunch of plays this morning. They also did talk about the Four Nations a bit, like some of the GMs who were involved, Doug Armstrong, Don Sweeney, Tom Fitzgerald, Bill Guerin. They gave some talks about what they thought worked and what they thought has to be better. I mean, for the most part, it was a big success. But I can tell you the one thing they kind of discussed a little bit was just access to players in terms of medical. Like there was that situation with Charlie McAvoy on Boston and Team USA. With the Olympics coming up next year and the teams are going to be overseas and more federations involved, there's definitely a conversation about, hey, if a player from an NHL team gets hurt in the Olympics next year, which hopefully no one will, we have to have better access to know what's going on and to see the player. So that was one thing that was talked about. The scheduling, I do think next year, and we'll see where this goes over the next couple of days, I think it's possible that next year's season is going to start earlier.
Yes.
Now, it's a little tricky, Don, because the first week of October, ESPN still has the baseball rights, and they have wall-to-wall first round of the baseball playoffs in October, so they don't want NHL in the middle of that. So it's possible the season might start earlier in September, but there's also an Olympics next year. And what one manager told me was, and I think there is some concern about, the schedule and the taxing nature it has on the players. But number one, all these buildings are full. That's a challenge. And number two, we are going to have the Olympics next year, so it's hard to find open days. And, one GM did say to me, I'd love to see the Four Nations or the World Cup or whatever it's going to be next time back at the beginning of the season in September, but it was so successful. I don't know how you can go away from that. It's a challenge. It's a big challenge.
Elliotte, what about an increase? And we saw this in the final game of the Four Nations, Canada and the USA, an increase in time in regular season overtime.
So I asked if that came up in the breakout discussions today, and I was told it really didn't. So now I know that this is one of those things that's kind of been discussed ever since the Four Nations happened. And so it's a conversation, and I think at some point in time, there's probably going to be a discussion with the players about it. But as far as it stands, and there's still 2 more days of meeting, there's more meetings tomorrow, and there's more meetings Wednesday morning, it's not a formal item of the agenda. So we'll see where this goes over the next couple of days, if this gains any steam. But, one of the things they did show us today is they showed us there's basically, I think it's now something like 77% of the games that are in overtime end before the shootout. And that's a very high number. I don't have the slide right in front of me, but it's very high. Like it's since the shootout came in, the amount of games that are being, and since the overtime went to 3-on-3, the amount of games that are being decided in overtime as opposed to the shootout is greater than ever. So I think the question is going to be, are they satisfied with that? Or they want to tweak it and add 2 or 3 more minutes to it. And I was told nothing formal came out of the breakout meetings this morning. So we'll see, Don, what develops over the next couple of days.
Elliotte, Bettman's got to love the parity. There's great playoff races, Elliotte, in the East and the West, so he's got to love that. What about the Canucks? Tough loss for Vancouver last night. You see the teams that are involved in that Western Conference for the final wildcard spot. Boy, that was a tough loss, Elliotte, last night for the Canucks.
Yeah, it sure was, especially when you're at home, and I know Utah. It was a tighter turnaround. There's no question about it. Less than 24 hours, Utah's there waiting for you. But you get that early lead, and you're hoping you're going to hang on to it, right? So yes, that was a big disappointment. I mean, I look at it, Rick. Calgary's got the games in hand. This is a massive one for the Flames tonight. But I was looking at St. Louis's schedule. Someone sent that to me, and Justin Bourne actually tweeted it out too. Like, you look at their next bunch of games, they've got the game with the Canucks on Thursday. That's a massive game. But they've got the Blackhawks, they've got the Predators 3 times. Like, it is St. Louis. St. Louis is in great position to take advantage. If they don't make the playoffs, they're only going to have themselves to blame. The playoffs have started now for Vancouver, Rick. This is playoff time. And the one thing I love is that, Quinn Hughes, he's playing like an MVP.
Yeah.
He is trying to drag this Canucks team into the fight with him. And I can't tell you how much respect I have for the way Hughes is playing. It's very high, but the rest of the team needs to come with him, because you're right. Like, at the end of the year, if you don't make the playoffs, games like last night are the ones you look back at and say, man, we let a golden opportunity slip through our fingers here. They could have really damaged Utah's hopes, and they allowed Utah to gain strength.
Elliotte, we haven't asked you this in a while. Are you surprised that, Rick Tocchet, still no contract for next year, 15 games to go, and, boy, it's going right down to the wire with him. Like, you got any read on that situation at all?
I can tell you this, Rick. I really believe this very strongly. I do not think that Rick Tocchet is going to allow that to be a story. I think that if you look at Rick Tocchet, he is demanding a lot out of himself. He's demanding a lot out of his coaching staff, and he's demanding a lot out of his players. If he allows that to be a story, it's a distraction, number one. And number two, he also, look, Rick Tocchet, he's going to, anytime there's a playoff chase, he's like one of those people that gets on a cliff overlooking a body of water. And do you think he's checking for rocks inside the water? No, he's just jumping in. That's the only way he knows.
Yep.
And he will not allow any of his players to think that the story is anything but the playoff chase. He's not going to pour gasoline on that coaching fire. Like, that's what we do in our business. We talk about that stuff. We wonder what this stuff means. But I believe Rick Tocchet will not allow that to be a focus of conversation from him. Whatever happens, he will deal with it after the season. Right now, all he's thinking about is getting the Canucks into the playoffs and he's not interested in any conversation about what his future is going to be.
And Elliot, before we let you go, backtracking a bit here, what can you tell us about the role Quinn Hughes played in JT Miller's move to New York? I believe you had some things to say about it over the last couple of days.
You know what? I just think that, as I said, Don, I just think that everybody understood it was time. I think the Canucks understood it was time. I think JT Miller clearly felt it was time. And everybody felt it was time. And I think that Hughes felt that once the organization and Miller decided that it had to go that way, he was going to back the decision. And I think he was also determined that he was going to help Pettersson get back to like. Look, you can't. Nobody's clueless. Everybody understands that this was a deeply divided fan base in terms of who they supported and what the fans thought was the right move. I think Hughes looked at it as a captain would look at it. This is the direction we're headed in, and I have to find a way to make it work. And I think that's what you do when you're the captain. You say, this is where we're going, and I'm going to support it because we're going down this path, and I'm going to support Pettersson. And I believe that's always the way he looked at it, as if Pettersson's staying, I am going to do my best to make sure that he's comfortable and in a position where he can succeed. And I think that's what I think happened. I think Hughes saw the way this was going to go, and he said, Miller's made his choice. The Canucks are making their choice. Now I'm going to make this work. All
right, Elliot, I know you've got a canasta game with Patrick Elvine in a matter of hours, so we'll let you go. And thanks for this.
Can I just say something before I leave, guys?
Yes.
So what some people who watch this may know or may not know, the fee that I get for coming on Donnie and Dolly goes to the Canucks, the Children's Fund. Canucks Fund for Kids. And I always appreciate you guys doing that for me. Well, tomorrow night is the telethon. And I can't be there this year because I'm here at the GM meetings. Unfortunately, work has to come first. It kills me that I can't be there to be part of the telethon. But it's going to be Randeep Janda and Jody Vance and Olivia McDonald are going to do a great job running it. They are the three of them definitely better than me. But I just want to say that over the last few years, I have always been impressed with the generosity of Canucks Nation. And I have no doubt it will be any different this time. And even though I can't be there, I still support it. And I know the Canucks and their fan base will too. Tomorrow night's a big night. And in advance, any of you who donate, it doesn't matter if it's a large amount or a smaller amount, every cent matters. Thank you so much because you're making a huge difference in people's lives.
Well said, Elliot. All the best. Safe travels down there.
All right, guys. Take care.
You bet.
Oh, Kyle.
Okay.
Fruit.
Mr. Campbell River.
Yeah. Wow.
Hi, Kyle. Thanks, Elliot. Appreciate it.